Hello, Nehemiah here, and I am so excited right now. I just made a list of all the things I want to talk about. This is just going to be a more normal me vlogging type video where I'm just talking about stuff. But, okay, one of the first things that I'm really super excited about is this new setup. I mean, look at it. It's gorgeous. And right now, one of the biggest reasons this new setup is so great isn't apparent because right now it's night and I'm still relying off a lot of my yellow lights in the room. But when I record in the daytime, the window is right behind me now, so I can open the shades and I'll get a bunch of natural light, which will hopefully create much better lighting for videos. We'll see how that works. But yeah, it's been a few weeks now since I've recorded any videos, which both feels like a really long time ago since the last time I made a video, and also not that long ago. Honestly, it mostly feels like it was forever ago. I feel like I haven't been making videos for forever. But turns out the last video I uploaded was only like 2 weeks ago. So I think a really big thing that's changing is that, okay, I guess I'm just going to get straight into these things. Okay, first, I'm going to go in the order that I wanted to go in. So I wanted to do the negative thing first so I can end on a positive note, because most of these things are really positive, but there's one of them that's kind of really negative and one of them that's not really negative but neutral. So I'll start with those two and then I'll go on to the more happy, exciting things. The first one that's frustration related is that a few weeks ago I kind of had like an emotional breakdown. I started bawling my eyes out. I just want to cry right now. So last year of my life, I felt so lonely. Anytime I talk to anybody, anytime I talk to any of my friends, I can't say what I actually think anymore. I feel like everybody just thinks it's my fault, like, you know, it's like I don't know what they actually think or feel. But what I feel in my mind, like I was just trying to figure out what's true about the world, and I realized that Christianity wasn't true. And it's like I'm not allowed to say that to them, because it's arrogant, because I can't know that I'm right, because nobody can, except for them, because they're Christian and they know that God's real. All I want is a friend, somebody who I can talk to, spend time with, someone who I can tell my ideas to who's not gonna look at me like I'm the enemy, like I'm just trying to. It's like that's how I feel all my Christian friends respond around me. It's like I'm the enemy. My thoughts, my questions, me just being me is somehow threatening. I'm not safe to them. I'm trying to tear down what they believe. It's like, do I have permission to feel heartbroken that I feel like I lost all my friends when I left the faith? I used to be able to tell them anything I was thinking and they would get excited about it. No, they don't.
I hate feeling alone. I wish I had somebody who could understand how alone I feel right now. Somebody who could understand that my leaving Christianity broke my heart. I didn't want it to happen. I tried so hard to not leave for such a long time. I frustrated myself endlessly trying to find answers to understand my life experience without leaving the faith, and it didn't work. But I tried so hard. And everybody acts like you just threw it away like you didn't care. I cared so much. And most of the atheists I meet, they don't even understand this at all. They just want to trash talk religion, act like it was stupid. It's like, yeah, maybe it doesn't make a whole lot of sense from the outside. But I was so far in it. I was so sure that it was true. And I wasn't stupid. I was the same Nehemiah then as I am now. I was curious. I was trying to learn about the world. We developed such a strong emotional attachment to it. And you know, the human mind is so persistent. It wants to hold on to ideas and doesn't want to let them go. Like we develop a really strong trust for the people who raise us, because they took care of us and they gave us what we needed. We want to believe that what they told us was true. I hate that it wasn't. I don't feel like anybody believes me. I've never been concerned about myself. It's one of the things about Christianity that was so captivating to me. I love the idea of being selfless. The whole story of Jesus and your life done for others, to me, is just so beautiful. That's all I ever wanted to do with my life. And I feel like I have such an incredible mind. And I have absolutely no intention of trying to lord that over anybody. All I want to do is help people. I just want to make the world a more peaceful place. I want people to love each other instead of arguing. I want people to listen to each other and understand how they feel, to believe them, so that they don't feel alone. Feeling alone really sucks. Anytime anybody questions my motives, it just hurts so much. From day one, all I've ever tried to be is honest. I'm so relentlessly honest. Anytime people don't believe me, it just really hurts.
And it largely revolved around how this last year and a half has been exceedingly difficult for me in one of the areas of my life, in that there's like the part of me that isn't a Christian anymore, which, I mean, that's all of me, but like that part of me that has to do with me being a Christian or not being a Christian. It's like, I found a way to make it work with my friends pretty effectively, where like, it's not really that awkward most of the time and we're comfortable around each other. But I think I just learned very quickly to not talk about certain things in front of them, and I learned very quickly to not say certain kinds of things. And then I just got such in the habit of never saying those things, and I still, for the life of me, don't have almost anybody in my life who's really, like, atheist or, like, more scientifically minded that I talk to very often. And so within the last year, I feel like I got into this habit of just not expressing certain emotions that I have, and I kind of forgot that I had them. And then I'll have a chance to like go talk to somebody and have the conversation with some random person I meet who's not Christian, who understands what I'm actually saying, and then suddenly all of these things start coming out that I didn't realize I was burying inside, and then I just start bawling my eyes out because I become aware of how invalidated I felt in all of those specific emotions this last year. And some of that's kind of coming to a head right now because I switched jobs, and inevitably, anytime I go anywhere, I have to open my mouth and talk about ideas I have, and inevitably that leads to people getting curious about my, worldview, because it turns in, I'm in Northern Arkansas, and everybody here practically is Christian, and so the new people I'm working for, they're Christian, and some of them caught wind that I'm not Christian, and then they start trying to engage me in conversation and talking to me about why I don't believe anymore, and all the arguments that they have for why Christianity is true. And it just I'm getting so sick and tired of it. Because it's the biggest feeling for me that I feel like is invalidated is that nobody, not atheists, not Christians, believe me when I say that I didn't want to leave the faith. I could have left so easily early on. If I didn't have such deep emotional investment in trying to make it work so early on, late high school, early college, I would have left. My brain was already logically picking up on a ton of the things that were kind of off with regards to what didn't make sense about it. But I kind of buried all of those because I was so desperately convinced that I needed a relationship with God, that Christianity really was true, and that my doubts and my questions were nothing more than, me being too intellectual, or me trying to, be more in control than I was supposed to be, rather than trusting God to be in control. But it didn't work. No matter how much I tried to bury the questions and uncertainties that I had and the things that didn't make sense, it didn't work, because inevitably I'd find something else that didn't make sense, and it would just keep coming back. And for years I was journaling, and I was like, God, if you're out there, if this relationship is real, help me to figure out what I need to do different, because I hated having those doubts. I wanted them to go away. I wanted to just trust God, but I didn't feel like I had a choice in the matter. And I honestly don't think that human beings really do have a choice when it comes to what they believe about the world. People tend to look at the world, and we have brains that are oriented toward trying to figure out what's true. And when we're convinced that something is true, we think that it's true, and we don't really have a huge choice in the matter. The only time we really have a choice is whether to be curious or not. And I think an attitude of curiosity is the best attitude to have, and will most likely lead to the most truthful understanding of the world and reality. But however it goes, it's by the time I was finished with college, after all the times I went abroad and talked to so many people from different parts of the world, I was just there's no way Christianity's actually true. It's too isolated of an idea. And of course the really deep personal thing with me that I could never convince myself out of, that I would still kind of posit is my biggest reason why I'm absolutely convinced Christianity has, like, why its core central idea is of no use to me, is because the core idea of Christianity is that somehow people have a moral responsibility before God to behave a certain way. And that notion to me is utterly ridiculous, because everything I know about myself and everything that I know about how other people work, there aren't really evil people in this even kind of way. Like, everybody is doing the best that they can, and everybody is behaving according to the way that they're programmed. So, like, someone like me, I'm really heavily programmed with a desire toward understanding the world, and I'm really heavily programmed with a desire toward resolving conflict and making peace between people. And, like, it doesn't matter what my worldview is, I am obsessed with those two things. And when I was a Christian, I was like, oh, you know, like, my purpose in life comes from being in a relationship with God, and, like, if I wasn't in a relationship with God, what would be the meaning of life? And all these things, of course, Christians now keep saying to me, as if, you know, it never occurred to me, these things, even though these are the same exact things that I had been arguing for years and years before I ended up leaving. Now I just lost my train of thought. But however it goes, it's just, I get so frustrating because I tried so hard to not leave. I wanted so desperately for it to be true. And then I got to the point where, and this is one of those things that none of my friends let me say, but it's like, I realized that it wasn't true. Alright, so hello and welcome back. My video that I was trying to record last night got interrupted because the memory card was full, and clearing it off took a bunch of time. So anyway, I decided to just go to bed, and then now I'll finish recording the video in the morning. Which is interesting because that means that you'll get to see the contrast in the lighting. It is a little gloomy outside, or overcast, so this isn't the most daylight I'll ever get coming in my window, but I'm interested actually to see what the lighting difference is between last night and this morning, because that will be the lighting difference between my old setup and my new setup, really. Because my old setup would never really get this kind of extra light, especially pointing at my face. So it'll be interesting to see how those look different. In fact, just for a second, if I turn that light off, it probably makes it darker than it was last night, but it'll be more blue light. So I wonder how this looks different. Just let it sit for like a second. No, anyway, I'll turn it back on. Okay. Anyway, to get back into it, let's see if I can pick up where I left off. I think I was going on some rant about how frustrated I've been at being invalidated. And I guess the essence is just that in my mind there's just this question of, like, when did I become the bad guy? Is what it feels like. Whenever I'm trying to figure out how the world works, and I'm just asking questions, and then everybody gets so defensive and combative, and they're like so set on proving me, the atheist, wrong. And I'm like, when did I ever become the atheist? When did I ever become the enemy? It's like, we were friends when I was a Christian, and now we're friends, like, and I'm still the same person. I care just as much about understanding how the world works, and I care about people getting along. And it's so incredibly frustrating to me to feel like that, like, somehow I'm on the outside now. And I felt that way ever since I left the faith. And I hate that. Because it feels so unnecessary. Because I know that at the end of the day, my friends really do care about other people a lot. And so I'm just like, so why can't we come together and have an honest discussion about ways that will actually help unite people? Even if that means involving questioning faith. I don't understand why questioning faith is so off the table for everybody. Like, if we care so much about people, I don't see how it's rational to... Yeah, anyway, I'm not going to get into that. But, like, and it's funny because it's like... Part of what even makes it more frustrating for me is the fact that I understand it so well. Because I was Christian at one point, and I had friends who weren't Christian. And when you are a Christian with a non-Christian, it's so incredibly hard to not feel defensive when they try to, like, say anything about the religion or the, you know, the theology and the ideas being somehow not correct. So, on one side I'm like, they're so stubborn. On the other side I'm like, but that's exactly how I was, and that, I guess, tends to be how Christianity kind of turns, like, that's how people are when they're in Christian belief. So, just kind of have to accept it and move on with life. And then also make a bunch of videos about why I don't think it's true. Anyway, I guess I'll just finish up with saying that. I'll just end with that.